Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got a really interesting side-by-side comparison between two rather unique chokes. Well, I guess not necessarily unique, they're just two chokes that you don't typically see people running for turkey, and definitely very few people have ever really tested them to see what they're capable of when it comes to turkey patterning either. So I've definitely wanted to try a combo like this. We've seen some success with this style choke before, but I've had a couple requests to try something like this with these particular shells as well. So I figured, hey, let's bring them out here and see what they could really do, because I think they might really surprise us. But first up, for the shells that we're running today, I brought out some more of the Winchester Longbeard XR shells. These ones are the 12 gauge, 3-inch, 1 3/4 ounce payload of lead 4s at about 1200 feet per second. And this particular box of shells was sent to us by Jack a little while back, so thank you to him for sending us a box of these. But we know these are a good load. We've tested the Longbeards probably 100 times now, and we know that this particular box is a good performer as well. But we'll see how they actually perform through today's chokes, and I think that's going to be the big determining factor. But for our setup, I brought out my old Mossberg 500. It's your standard run-of-the-mill 500, 28-inch barrel with changeable chokes, but that leads us to the two chokes that we're going to run today side by side. Those being these two. These are your typical flush screw-in chokes. They don't immediately look like anything other than your typical, modified or full or whatever. These particular ones are Carlson's replacement chokes. You can order them for like $23 or whatever right off their website. But we've got two different constrictions. We've got an extra full, which is a 690, and we've got a turkey, which is a 680. Both of these are flush chokes, but not a lot of people really ever look at these for legitimate turkey patterns. These might be some of the cheapest and easiest ways to get a turkey choke. $23 gets you a flush choke with a little tighter constriction than your stock full choke will, and we've seen success with other flush extra full chokes and stuff with turkey patterns, mainly through my 20 gauge, so I see no reason why we couldn't be rather surprised here today. We've got a 690 and a 680 with those lead 4s. I think we're in for a decent pattern overall, but we'll see what they do and if something like this could actually be worth it. So as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. We've got both targets side by side at 40 yards and the chrono to get our velocity. So we'll get you guys a view of those targets. We'll take a shot with each choke and we'll see what we can really get from them. They're usually cheaper than most turkey chokes are. They technically make your barrel length a little shorter as well, rather than having 2 inches extra choke out of the end. So that could also be a factor. But how well do they actually perform? And could it potentially be worth it to get something like this or not? I don't know. Let's take our shots and just see what we can get. And if there's one constriction that might be a little bit better than the other, at least for these Longbeards. Alright, so quick run through for our chronograph numbers. We have a boss claim of 1200. Our extra full 690 gave us 1211, and our turkey 680 gave us 1249. So we're averaging a little bit over that 1200 boss claim, but it's nothing out of the usual. Low 1200s or so is typical for these shells, so nothing out of the ordinary here. But I think we actually got some really surprising patterns down at 40. So let's check it out and see which of these chokes actually won out, because I think they're both pretty nasty. Alright, well, now we're down here at our 40-yard papers, and we see some rather shockingly impressive results. These are flush chokes. I expected some good performance, but this might even be a little better than what I thought we would see. Over on the left, we have our extra full 690, and on the right, we have our turkey 680. Both of them are absolutely 40-yard capable, no question about it. But first, we'll move over here to our extra full 690 constriction choke. We definitely favored a little bit high and left. I don't think I pulled the shot at all on that one. I've got a good stable tripod to work with, so that choke may just favor a little bit high and left, potentially. We'll see as we continue testing it, but we still absolutely do have a dead bird. There are a number of them through the brain and the top of the spine there, and if we had that centered up, it would be the same story. That's a tight little spread of pellets right there. Lead 4s can be very very finicky at times to really get those nice, tight, hot cores. And we definitely are seeing it here, that's for sure. We have a really good core going on. Now, outside of that, we do start to pick up a few little splotchy areas. There are a number of flyers down there around the bottom and the right edge. None of that is too surprising, but that is a nice condensed little area of fours right up there at the top left corner of that target. If that was centered up, man, most of your pattern would be within that 12 by 18 turkey target. So absolutely 40-yard capable. I wouldn't hesitate to run that combo for sure. But moving over here now to our Turkey 680 constriction, we absolutely hammered that bird. That's a lot of pellets right through that 5 and 10 inch ring for a load of lead 4s. I mean, he's got a bunch of them right through the center of his neck and a couple up in the brain. That's a hot little core area. Now again, outside of that, we definitely pick up a few little void areas. We definitely have a number of little strings and flyers and stuff like that around the edges, no question about it. That's not at all unusual for a lead shell, and especially not a lead 4. But once again, that is a hammer of a core for a lead number 4 pellet. And obviously, it is more than capable at 40 yards all day long. Again, I wouldn't hesitate to run it, that's for sure. So looking at these two side by side, I don't really know which one actually won out just yet. So let's pull both of our turkey targets down. I'll finish drawing all of our circles. We'll count some pellets, and there's definitely going to be a difference between these patterns, that's for sure. But we'll get a better idea on which one might actually be a little bit better of a hunting pattern, or at least which one we might prefer anyway. Okay, now we've got our turkey targets out of the way, we've got our circles drawn, and we see some pretty interesting results here. They definitely look different from each other, but honestly, they're not that far off, numbers-wise anyway. But we'll start over here on the left with our extra full 690. We have a 10 and a 20-inch circle drawn. Inside of the 10-inch, we have 78 pellets. Pretty nice, even spread there. There's a little void right at the top of that 10-inch ring, but it's nothing too detrimental to the pattern. You've got enough of them in there to do the job for sure. Outside of that, with our 20-inch ring, that's kind of your leeway area when you're actually in a hunting situation. We picked up an additional 71 pellets within there, and obviously we have a bunch more scattered outside the bottom of that as well. But that right there, everything within that 20-inch ring, makes for a pretty solid 40-yard turkey hunting pattern. There's not going to be a bird that makes it through that for sure. You've got a pretty good even core area. There's a lot of pellets within there. It might not be 100% even throughout the entire thing. Maybe that's where one of those little bit higher price aftermarket chokes could help you out. Maybe it would help condense some of these flyers down just a little bit, but still, that's a perfectly solid hunting pattern. I wouldn't hesitate to run it, that's for sure. But now moving over to the right with our Turkey 680 constriction, and we see a very hot little core area of pellets there within the 10-inch ring. We have 90 pellets in there compared to 78 with the 690, so we picked up 12 pellets, and it is a little bit hotter as well. It does kind of thin out towards the edges, kind of the top and left and the bottom right corner of it, so it's not quite as even of a core area throughout the entire thing, but you do pick up more pellets. Now outside of that, within the 20-inch ring, we now have 68 pellets compared to 71 with the 690. So we lost 3 pellets, which probably actually moved to our center 10-inch ring, because outside of our 20-inch circle, we still have a pretty similar area of a little bit scattered shot. Maybe not quite as far out as what we saw with that extra full 690. The pattern might be a touch tighter overall with this, but as far as the numbers go, inside of that 20-inch ring, very similar across the board. You have a few more pellets in the core, but maybe a couple less within your leeway area of the pattern. Still, pretty nominal difference there, but the core is really what makes the difference between these two, I would say. So looking here at them side by side, either one of these is a perfectly capable 40-yard turkey hunting combination. Now, it looks like the extra full 690 over there on the left might be a little bit better hunting pattern. It's a little bit more even throughout most of the core area than what the one on the right is with that Turkey 680. However, if you're somebody that likes the little bit hotter cores or is a field hunter and may have to reach out a touch farther on occasion, maybe you might prefer that little bit hotter core that the 680 gave us on the right. Still, both of these I would not hesitate to run. And I mean, really, these are $23, I believe it is, a piece. I'm really surprised there isn't more people running these for an actual turkey hunting setup, or testing them at all, as a matter of fact, either. You just don't see these a whole lot, or at least I don't in my area, that's for sure. Everybody's got to run the biggest, fanciest, most expensive thing they can get, but a $28 box of Longbeard 4s with a $23 flush extra full or turkey 680 choke is clearly plenty capable. Now we need to test these chokes with maybe some Longbeard 5s and 6s and see if that trend continues, see how good they actually are with those shells, and who knows, maybe we bring the 4s back out and try these chokes versus a flush full choke. We'll see what happens. And for reference, the flush full choke in that Mossberg is a 696 for a constriction, so a little bit more open, but I bet it would probably still be capable judging by these two patterns. I definitely wouldn't hesitate to run either one of them, that's for sure. So some pretty surprising results here. Both of them would absolutely hammer turkeys, and you can't really complain too much, unless maybe you want a couple of those flyers up there with the rest of the pattern. But I am rather impressed with what a flush choke can actually do with a load of Longbeard 4s, it seems. And here are the two wads from those shells. You've got your extra full 690 on the left and your turkey 680 on the right, both of which very standard Longbeard XR equipment. The little bit tighter 680 over here did peel one of these pedals open a little farther and get us a little tear there, but that is not at all unusual. We're kind of regardless of what choke you run with these Longbeards. Overall, nothing special to see, and clearly both of them did just fine. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that combo right there? Definitely some pretty interesting results comparing these two side by side. Honestly, I'd take either one of them. If I had my choice, I would probably maybe go with that 690 over there. It's a little bit more even of a pattern, but I guess it would maybe depend on what scenario I'm in. If I know I'm going to be hunting between a bunch of different fields, maybe I'll go with the 680. You got a little hotter core, you might be able to reach out a hair farther, but honestly, within 40 yards, either one of these is more than capable. For a flush choke, you can't argue with those kind of results. Either one is going to crush a turkey. So that just goes to show right there, especially in a 12 gauge, you do not need to run the $100 box of TSS shells. A $28 box of Longbeard XRs is plenty capable. And you don't need to run the $100+ choke tubes either. Go buy yourself a $28 box of Longbeard shells with a $23 flush, extra full, or turkey choke, and clearly you're going to be just fine. And both of those could reach out to 45 and probably even 50 yards and do the job just fine as well. And these are a lead 4. You don't have a ton of pellet count compared to a 5 or a 6. So I'm really curious to see what a 5 or a 6 might be able to do through these two chokes. So what is there to really complain about here? We got a few flyers and strings around the edge, but that's nothing unusual for the shells overall. It's just a solid, perfectly capable pattern from either one of these. So leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested or do you run one of these extra full or turkey flush chokes? And if so, what kind of results have you been getting out of them? Are either one of these a combo you would actually hunt with? And if so, which of these do you prefer? Do you like the little more even core, or do you like the little hotter core? And if you have a favorite, which one of them would it be that you would actually take out in the woods and hunt with? And what other tests do you want to see like this? Or what other shells do you want to see put through these particular chokes? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.